This is the Pedego Interceptor. I've reviewed it before, but that was a year and a half, 2 years ago, and a lot has changed and really been improved. At first glance, it's kind of the same great bike that it's always been. Got this classic cantilever frame, really sort of rugged, reinforced, extra tubing there, and a nice relaxed sort of seating position with this big oversized saddle. Very comfortable. It's got sort of rubber bumpers in addition to this seat post suspension, which is just, you know, really nice stuff. Nice to have that. Big oversized handlebars with these padded stitched grips, even sort of rubberized brake levers here, and they've got the new Tektro ones with the integrated bell. I really like that. These Tektro brake levers do include motor cutoff, sort of a motor inhibitor, which is really great because, you know, the little bit of a heavier bike, and if you're a larger person, it's nice to be able to stop yourself immediately if you're using pedal assist. And speaking of maybe a heavier rider, this is the full-size Interceptor. It's a fairly large bike, and you can see it's kind of got that high step going on, but they also have a low step, sort of a step through. It's going to be easier to approach. You don't have to swing your leg over, and be careful if you try to do that, because I've clocked my knee on the rear rack doing that before. And they've even got a Miniceptor now, and that's just the fun name. It's basically an Interceptor but with a smaller frame. If you can imagine, the wheel is smaller, so that brings the hub down closer to the ground, and of course it's also a step through frame design, so that's great. And the cool thing about all of these different designs, they've got the high step or the low step, is that they've got bottle cage adapters, and you can use that for a mini pump. You could use it for a cable lock or one of those like Abus folding lock things, or just a water bottle, which is important. You know, if you're out on the town for the day, you're cruising around, it's nice to be able to bring some stuff with you. And along those same lines, they've got a really nice, really oversized rear rack setup here with just sort of a mousetrap type of a clip thing. And I've never actually used this for much more than mail, but you know, it's kind of nice to have it. And I've used the Basil panniers, like kind of cloth panniers that'll hang down, and they work really well because this is a little bit of a larger sort of a you know, it's a larger tubing size. So if you've got those clip-on panniers, they might not work with this. You can see again, it's just a little bit bigger. But once you do find panniers that work, it's great because it sort of conceals the battery a little bit and gives this an even cooler, just, you know, really relaxed cruiser type of look. The Interceptor is one of the most powerful bikes in the Pedego lineup. You know, they started out with these kind of classic cruisers, which this resembles, but the Interceptor was like, let's take it to the next level. You have the really sturdy tires here, the Schwalbe Fat Franks with the kind of a Kevlar lining to help reduce the potential of getting stickers in there, flat tires and stuff. Great oversized kickstand that really holds the bike up well. Big, again, oversized pedals here, and they used to be like kind of the Welgo aluminum alloy platform. These look very similar, but they actually say Pedego, and I think the bearings are, you know, it's a little bit nicer, so real smooth and kind of grippy with those built-in nubs. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's the tubing around the battery. That's going to give it some extra protection. You know, this is a sort of like a plastic casing on this. If it tipped, it's nice to have some metal and just something surrounding it and giving it a lot of extra strength. You can see it's attached here on the seat stays, and then that's almost like a little rubber band point if you've got one of those panniers that kind of can lock on. And you know, then down here with this nice big disc brake. So they are mechanical. Avid disc brakes, 180 millimeter rotors, back up with those Tektro levers, pretty easy to actuate and kind of tune up if you need to. You can even kind of twist this little, you know, there's like a finger adjustment thing right here, so you can sort of adjust that yourself without tools if you need to. You're out on the road. I like that they've got just clean lines all around. You know, the Pedego logo is nice, and then Interceptor, the fact that it has a chain guard keeps your pants and stuff from getting greasy or getting snagged. I have noticed that, you know, this can get bumped and sort of bent if you're not careful, so, you know, do be kind of conscious of that. It's a little easier to do on the step throughs because, again, there's not as much blocking it like there is here on this high step version. 7-speed Shimano Acera. So, you know, it's kind of middle of the line, you know, not the highest end component, but it totally gets the job done. 7 speeds is pretty decent for cruising around town. It's real easy to tell what gear you're in. They've got this big oversized like thumb shifter thing. I think in the past they've had some that had like twist shifting, And that just, you know, it kind of gets in your way a little bit. This is very clear, and like, you know which speed you're in. It's real easy to see, and it leaves plenty of room for the twist throttle here on the right. So, you know, all around, just little improvements like that. I love that the Interceptor comes with lights. So on the back there's a light, and on the front there's a light, and it's sort of attached here at the fork, and you can sort of aim it if you need to. It's got a built-in reflector, same with the pedals. So, you know, good stuff that way. And now they're using 12 magnet cadence sensor. So you can see those right there, this plastic disc with the little dots, those are magnets. And by having 12 of them, you know, it's just a little bit more refined. Pedal assist is gonna start a little quicker, and it's gonna stop quicker when you discontinue pedaling. So just little upgrades like all around. The battery is one of the big selling points on the Interceptor. I mentioned it's sort of an overbuilt bike. It tends to be a little bigger, and you know, it's got all the fixins basically. The batteries are now only 48 volt. So there's a 48 volt 10 amp hour and a 48 volt 15 amp hour. And the 15 amp hour, it's basically just giving you more capacity, so you could potentially go further between charges. And you know, I think that's kind of cool. 48 volt systems tend to be more efficient at delivering electricity, and the battery they've got is really nice. It's got like a little voltage indicator here, so even if it's off the bike, you can tell how full it is, and that's real easy to do. You just twist the key here, and then sort of slide on it like that. Pulls right out. That's where it mounts. You know, it's nice looking. Whoa. There we go. It's cool to see the bottom. You can see the little on-off switch. So there is a built-in on-off switch on the battery, and that's nice. Just kind of keeps it from draining. There's the charging port right there with the little cover. It's got a built-in fuse, and I've got the 15 amp hour battery here. You know, it is a little bit heavier, but it's just nice to be able to bring this inside with you and to charge it, or, you know, reduce some of the weight on the bike, because these are heavy bikes. I'm gonna go ahead and try to slide this back in. There we go, and it clicks right in. And check this out, you don't have to leave the key in while you're riding. I love that, because before, some of the bikes, you kind of dangle your keychain, or if you have panniers, they can kind of be in your way, you know, that can bend this key. I'm gonna leave it in while riding so I don't forget though. So, you know, I like the battery a lot, and I was mentioning like kind of care and service for the batteries. The best way to manage this is going to be keep it in kind of a cool, dry location. If you live in the East Coast and it's freezing out, don't leave it out in your garage. That's really bad for the battery, and you're going to significantly decrease the capacity. Even if you just left it overnight, like the next day you go to ride, you're only going to get like half the distance that you could if the battery was kept in more of a warm environment. If you live in a super hot place and it's like the desert and it's sunny, and you know, that's also really bad for the battery, and it's just not going to get as many charge cycles as it would. And the battery is kind of the most expensive part of the bike, you know, it's $800 for a replacement pack. So yeah, keep it charged, or try to maintain, you know, 20 to 80% charge, kind of keep it in that range if you're not using it. Otherwise, just charge it up every night if you use it every day, and then keep it in a, you know, decent sort of temperature range. That would be my advice. These bikes, you know, the lower end one, like the 48 volt 10 amp hour, it's like $28.95, so almost $2,900. And then if you upgrade to that 15 amp hour battery, that's $31.95. So there's like a $300 difference for those extra 5 amp hours. And you know, they can get you a little bit further and stuff, but it does add weight, and this is already a fairly rear heavy bike. You can see, you know, the battery is hanging off the back. It's kind of up high. You do get the rack and everything, but it, you know, and the style kind of works, but just keep that in mind. The rear is also where the motor is. So it's a 500 watt geared motor, and geared motors tend to be a little bit smaller in size. You can see it right here, and lighter weight and stuff, but they do produce a little bit more noise. There's more, you know, there's gears, planetary gears going on in there, so there's a little bit more you know, friction happening, but they do freewheel nicely. So if you're coasting, it's not going to slow you down. As I mentioned, the 12 gauge spokes here on the tire, or the wheel, the rim, are sort of like oversized so that this bike can accommodate, you know, 250 pound riders. They've got pre-slimed tubes and everything, so it's really just supposed to be kind of trouble-free, especially with the Kevlar lining. However, Pedego is also introducing like these new mag wheels, like magnesium. So you can see it's like a solid, almost looks like plastic to me, but it's kind of a lightweight metal, and you don't ever have to worry about these going out of true. And if you're a larger rider, someone who's a little bit heavier, these magnesium wheels are going to accommodate that weight. better. So, you know, up to like 300 pounds. Pretty good stuff, and I like the look of them. They kind of blend in. These bikes aren't super duper soft, like there's no full suspension or anything like that, but when you look at these larger tires like we were talking about, and then you look at the saddle and the seat post suspension and the larger bars, they kind of reduce vibration. They give you that sort of upright, you know, you don't have to lean forward on this bike. You're kind of like upright like this, and you're able to spot traffic or enjoy the park, and I really love that. Some people do want to, you know, replace the seat posts though. There's like thud busters and different things like that. So I think this is 28.6 diameter, maybe like 350 in length, millimeters. So kind of keep that in mind if you're one of those people who's looking for even more comfort. Once the battery's charged and kind of mounted properly and everything, you make sure that that little toggle switch has been kind of clicked right here. Then you come up to the display panel, press that power button, and it comes to life. And there's actually, it's got backlighting, so if you just press the power button again just once, it kind of does the backlighting, and the lights and everything start working on the bike. So that's how that works. And then you've got, of course, your speed, your pedal assist level, your battery voltage. It's got 5 bars to kind of approximate that. Here's a little icon for the backlighting. I'll turn the lights off. You've got an odometer, a trip meter, and then a time, kind of a timer. So, you know, a few different options in there. It's kind of fun to tool around with. You can hold set and go through and change different things like wheel size and some of this other stuff. Neat that they've left it a little bit open. The display itself is not removable, but it does sort of swivel to help reduce glare. In fact, yeah, that looks nice. There's the backlighting there. Maybe you can see it. And on the bottom, now they've got a USB port for charging stuff. So check that out. I love it. Here, there you go. Maybe you can see it now. Yeah, just a standard USB port. So, you know, if you got like your iPod or your mobile phone or something, you can just kind of hook it in and get a little bit more use out of it, especially if you've got that, you know, 15 amp hour battery pack. It's great to be able to tap into that. So all around, just really great bikes for what they are. Now obviously this isn't like a mountain bike, and there's a whole range of cruisers and city bikes and stuff, but for someone who wants that like relaxed upright position and wants to work with a good company, I mean, Pedego's been a leader here in the United States for a long time. They've really focused on this sort of aesthetic, and they have a great warranty. I think it's like a 3-year battery warranty. The first year it's totally covered. The second year and the third year, they sort of like prorate it. So if you have to get a replacement, they just make it cheaper for you. So I think it's a really neat program. You know, it's kind of clever. They don't want to be taken advantage of. You know, people like wrecking their batteries, and you know, we talked about the cold and the heat and stuff. If you're not careful, yeah, the battery's not going to last as long. But these are high quality Samsung lithium-ion cells that should go, like in my experience, 1,000+ cycles if you take care of it. However, over time, they are just going to degrade it like any battery. So keep that in mind. It's good stuff. So yeah, I might find another little nice spot with a hill and stuff. I want to do some hill testing. You know, I'm only like 130 pounds, but it's nice to just see this 48-volt pack in action. And actually the Interceptor, the larger size, it feels really nice to me. But again, don't forget they got the other sizes, and I think that's really appealing to me. So the total weight of the highest end Interceptor here is about 61 pounds. And again, that's with the larger battery pack. And the battery is about 8.8 pounds. So, you know, almost 9 pounds. Keep that in mind. You know, I don't think a lot of people are gonna be carrying an extra battery in their backpack. You might bring the charger with you, and you can actually top it off pretty quickly if it's in sort of the lower range. But when you're almost full, it takes longer to balance because there's like a battery management system, and you know that tries to not overcharge the cells, which is important. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, I power it on. It does have, by the way, like an automatic shutoff, which is cool. So the bike will try to keep from wearing the battery down. 0 is a really cool mode. It's just pure throttle mode, which is great. Like, it sort of acts like a cycle computer, and then as soon as you twist the throttle, it overrides. And then in any of those other 5 pedal assist levels, throttle mode still works. You can basically use the throttle and just override, and it goes to 100%. So it constantly feels like you've got plenty of power. I'm just gonna take it to 0 and show the motor real quick. So here's the hill. You can see it kind of, the sidewalk wraps around, and it's pretty steep. It goes all the way up there. There's a beautiful view. As I've been riding the Interceptor, you know, it just reminds me of how zippy Pedegos feel. This is a Dapu geared hub motor, and it's just definitely, you feel the power instantly, and you do hear it, but it's pretty satisfying. And you know, the cadence sensor, it's got those 12 magnets, but there is a little bit of delay and then a little bit of, you know, over power like when you're done. So it's great to have those brake levers. I was going to try to show that maybe once I get to the top of the hill here. There we go. So I'm in assist level 5, but again, the throttle works at all times, so I might just try to throttle it all the way up that. Again, I'm, you know, 135 pounds, so. And I'm gonna stop right here. You know, this is the hill. Yep. No problem. Beautiful. You know, we were going at maybe like 15 miles per hour during that climb, but not bad. Now here I'm going to try to show you the cadence sensor, how it kind of starts and stops. So you can clearly see the delay there, but you got the brake levers to work with, so that's great. Cool. So now I'm going to hop on the mag wheels and see how that feels. You know, a lot of times spokes, they keep it a little bit lighter, but magnesium is a really light material, and you know, these might be a little bit more rigid. There's not usually as much flex, but it's kind of a cool pattern, you know, with those multiple blades and stuff. And you shouldn't have to worry about truing these wheels as much. They should just be sturdier all around. Here we go. Nice and, yeah, beautiful. Maybe do a brake test on the way down with those 180 millimeters. It does take a little bit more, you know, hand effort to pull them because they're mechanical, but 180 millimeters it's a lot to work with. It's good power. So here we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Awesome. Well, that is the Pedego Interceptor. It comes in a bunch of different flavors, a whole bunch of colors. You can even choose your wheel color. There's like tan and gray and black, and you know, it's neat that there's like a style component of this. But really, my favorite part is just that the company has done a pretty good job with warranty and support over the years, and that you get something that's a little bit different, kind of that cruiser feel with all the extra safety stuff, with that nice upright, you know, ride position. It's good stuff. So for the full write-up on this, all the specs and everything, I'll see you back at electricbikereview.com.